Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all the praises, the glory, and the honor unto Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Bahashim Kakwadash. I also want to give double honors to all the elders and all the Akim out here that's laboring in this word in truth and in sincerity, doing everything to make it calling and election sure. Shalom to y'all and y'all families. I also want to say shalom to all the Akim and the Akwatim out there that's out there receiving, learning, believing, and keeping the faith. You true, sincere, dedicated believers out there. Shalom to y'all and y'all families as well. I'm the brother Malak. I'm Awan. Back in the spirit once again, here to feed the lambs and the sheep of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah. And Lord will, this lesson is edifying for the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel only. We're back at it again. Here to get some more prophecy, man. Just some more current events that's going on right now. More mandates and bills that are being passed. We're hearing the day of the Lord's return, more and more and more, man. More as each day goes past, it's like more prophecies. It's a prophecy just gets fulfilled even more, man. The scriptures just start jumping out at you, man. More and more as these days get darker and darker. Esau Edom's wrath becomes more fervent and more fervent on the people in the form of these mandates, in the form of these restrictions, which is going to lead to uproars and upheaval of the people. But and civil war and all that, but that's a whole nother lesson. So today we're just going into how they started to restrict travel, man. Which we already knew this was coming, but now they're putting things into action. Now they're making it known, man. They're letting you know what they want to do. They're announcing them, and they're actually getting to the hardcore with it. Putting pen to paper, and putting things into action. We see what's going on in Canada. It just came out yesterday. We see what's going on, in domestically in the United States, where they, enacting bills, or inserting bills, to turn into laws, which they going to require the jab for domestic travel, man. And they already got one in, that's been passing, that they got passed and all that, ready to put into action to limit to limit international travel, so it's time to say goodbye to Babylon, man. It's been time, but it's time to say goodbye to the hopes and wants and dreams of this place, because we see it's falling, man. And unless you want to submit to this system, you have no part with it, man. So before we get into the bulk of this lesson, I just want to get a few scriptures just to get the mindset, for these times that we headed into, because they're starting to, like I said, they starting to put a pen to pad now. You know what I'm saying? It's no more speculation. It's no more what if and what if this, what if that. It's starting to be put into action. These bills are starting to become laws. These laws are starting to be enacted on the people. This is real life. This is not no fairy tale playtime shit, man. This is not us just speaking. This is actually happening. So let's get into it. The first scripture I want to get is Matthew the 7th chapter and the 13th verse. It says, "Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it." So the word straight, that's spelled S-T-R-A-I-T, and that goes into difficult, man. That goes to, in, like, you ever heard the term in straits? In times of adversity, in difficulty, a hard time, strenuous, temptation. That's the gate that we got to walk, man. So as these things are becoming more and more rampant, it's only going to get more and more rampant in society. That gate is only going to get straighter, aka more difficult. Faith is only going to get tested more and more and more in these last days, man. Because wide is the gate that leads to destruction, man. Let's go to Isaiah the 30th chapter. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30 and verse 21. "And thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, This is the way, walk ye in it, when ye turn to the right hand and when ye turn to the left." So that's just going to show that's straight, man. So that's actually, that's twofold, because it is talking about a gate of difficulty, a path, a walkway of difficulty, but it's also talking about walking in one direction, man, not turning to the right or to the left. You know, not following at the other philosophies, not following into the world and into your family, into these other religions, into these other gods. You know, walking that straight and narrow pathway via the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. You know, that's what it says. This is the way. The way has been manifested to us, man. So as these times get more and more perilous, you know, as days get more and more dark, and prophecy speaks more and more and more, you know, we're gonna have to walk more and more on that straight gate, meaning one direction, and also walk in that degree of difficulty. We can't despise degrees of difficulty in these last days, man. You know, because that's what's gonna prove, you know, how loyal we are to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. You know, because if we turn the other way, it says, wide is that gate. We try to go and going the way that everybody else goes, you know, try to get to the kingdom by following this system. It don't work that way, man. You know, you try to get to the kingdom of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua by being lockstep with Esau, man. By still going into Esau's philosophies, man. You can't get to the kingdom by still, you know, thinking you can toe the line with Esau. Think you can still play around with Esau's system, man. You gotta leave out that shit. You know, because it says wide is the gate and broad is the way that lead to destruction. That's talking about this world, man. And many there be which go in thereat. And we got to think, man, most people are going in that way. You know, you got plenty of Jakes going to get the job, plenty of Jakes is going to get it so they can travel. You know, each restriction is this is the thing. This is what Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is doing. With each restriction that Esau brings into effect, more and more Jakes get sifted out. More and more brothers that know that they're Israelites and sisters that know they're Israelites are getting sifted out. And also, too, you know, just in terms of the nation of Israel as a whole, the ones who the Most High hasn't woken up to this truth, they're getting sifted out automatically as well. As more and more mandates, more and more restrictions, more and more wickedness, more and more unrighteous decrees that Esau is coming with, you get more and more Jakes that are getting sifted out because the restrictions are the degree of restriction is ramping up. First, it was you got your job, you got your travel, you know, you got each restriction is limiting you for more and more from society. You know, you can't travel to go do this. You can't ride a train to go do this. You know, you can't fly to go do this. It's limiting your access to society more and more and more. You know, so more and more people are gonna fall in lockstep with it because it requires more and more faith to stay away from it, and most people just ain't got that. Verse 14: because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few be there that find it. So few be there that find it, man. So we got to be trying to be amongst those few. You know, we got to be diligently, you know, following the way of the Lord so we can be found of those few, man. You know, which means exiting our mindsets from this system, not being one with this place anymore. It's time to give this shit up, man. We see more and more restrictions are coming. Hey, if you one with this place, man, you're going to fall into the hands of it, man. You know, there's no way around that. And we're going to get into them articles too. But let's also go to the book of Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter. And actually, no, I'm going to get that later. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, the 2nd chapter. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, the 2nd chapter, and the 13th verse. It says, go and ye shall receive. Pray for a few days unto you. So pray for a few days unto you, meaning what? Man, with this system, you know, when this place again is ramping up in terms of this wickedness, more and more restrictions are coming. That's supposed to be a joyous time for us. We're supposed to be in a mindset mentally where we smile when we see these restrictions come. We smile when we see a certain state or a certain country, you know, or you know, our country, you know, quote unquote our country, Babylon, announces a certain mandate in this particular region for a certain sector of society, aka travel. You know, you mandates the jab for involving yourself in that field. You know what I'm saying? AKA traveling the country, man, getting on a plane, getting on a bus, a train, whatever it may be. That's just something that we should be excited at that, man. Because we're supposed to be praying for a few days, man. Our mindset's not supposed to be, I want to see how long Babylon can prosper. I want to see how much I can get out of this, man. Our mindset's supposed to be, Lord, let me see how much I can store within the kingdom of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, you know, and exit this world and wanting to see this place crumble and fall, man. You should be wanting these prophecies to ramp up more and more and more. You should want Yahweh Bashim Yahushua to speed up the prophecy, man. You should want that. That's got to be our mindset as we see these things ramp up more and more and more. And Salakia, I gotta answer this real quick. All right, Salakia, I had to answer that real quick. But we back. But anyway, back to what I was saying. We should be excited when we start seeing these prophecies ramp up and pop off like they are. So let's go ahead and get into the bulk of the articles. But before we do that, I want to say shalom to my bro, Mr. San John. Says shalom, brother, shalom, bro. The water for coming through. The water for listening, for coming through once again, bro. He said Acts 4:12, neither is there any salvation, neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. Come on, brother. Absolutely. The name is Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. If you ain't got that, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, tell you the name, but if you can't receive that, then hey, take that up with the Most High, man. I wouldn't want to be in that situation. I'll just say that. But oh yeah, so going back into let's get into these articles, man. So it says Canada issues C-19 jab mandate for travelers 12 or older on trains and planes. So this is the importance right here of what we were going into earlier in Matthew the 7th chapter, walking in that straight gate, because it's about to get more. It's about to start ramping up more and more and more. These mandates are about to start, popping off and are becoming more and more widespread amongst different states, different cities, different countries. If it's in Canada and it's been put into effect, like I was saying earlier, these have been put into effect. We're no longer just talking about these things, talking about how they're coming. No, these things are here, man. They're here. It's time to stop playing around. They're here, Jake. If you don't wake up out of that slumber, out of that sleep, you're gonna fall victim to the whims of Esau, man, to the wicked devices. And that's ultimately gonna be your body, your flesh, and your soul if you allow it. So that's the importance of walking on that straight gate in the times that we in. That gate of difficulty, that straight path. You know, it says Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Wednesday announced a nationwide C-19 jab mandate for rail, for rail and air travelers as well as staff. So to fly via plane or to or to ride the train, man, you got to get that jab, man. So we see they're limiting your ability to travel, and they're limiting your ability to leave. If things get really well, let me not say if. Once things get real bad, they're limiting your ability to leave and exit this whatever place you in physically, lest you submit to them physically as well, lest you submit your body to them. And that's how Esau Edom moves, man. They don't want you to operate outside of their system because they want to be your God, man. Let's go to the book of Psalm. Let's go to the book of Psalm. So I gotta find the precept. I got it right here actually. It's a Psalm, the 52nd chapter. Psalm 52 and verse 2. Thy tongue devises mischief like a sharp razor, working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak wickedness. To speak righteousness. Salah. Thou lovest all devouring words, O deceitful tongue. So everything that they say, everything that they do is to work mischief, is to work evil on their behest, man. So they want everyone to submit themselves. They don't want you to be able to operate in any kind of society that doesn't have their hands all over it, man. They want to be the movers and shakers in your life. So they don't even want you to leave a system that you're in without submitting yourself to them. That's why they're mandating it for you to be able to travel, man. If you in Canada, you trying to bounce out of Canada because you tired of that shit, you tired of the liberal nature of that country, and you want to leave and wherever you want to go, or you want to go to a more country area of Canada, maybe the northern Canada area, you want to leave like the cities or whatnot. Hey, you can't get on no train, you can't travel, man. It is what it is, unless you submit yourself to their system. That's how they're gonna get people to take it, man. That's just showing that they ultimately are trying to cast themselves to be God. And let's go to the book of 2 Thessalonians as well. This is the book of 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, and the 4th verse. I'm gonna just get the point. Who opposes and exalted himself above all that is called God, or that is worship, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showed himself that he is God. So it's showing you that this is talking about that man of sin, the son of perdition, who was Esau Edom in the flesh. So they're just showing that he wants to exalt himself up to be God. And because what does God do? What does the Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahushua do? Don't the scriptures say a man's goings are of the Lord? Esau Edom wants to instruct your goings, man. He wants to regulate your goings. He wants to regulate your comings and goings via submitting yourself to this system. If you want to operate mentally, spiritually, physically outside of it, well, I'll say that if you want to operate, physically outside of this system, you got to submit yourself in your mind to taking what he wants you to take, man. That's how they're moving and shaking this world, So let's get back into it. It says, today we're fulfilling 2 of our main commitments: mandatory jab for federal employees and mandatory jab for travel. Trudeau said Canada will also have a jab mandate for federally regulated workers in place by the end of the month, according to Canadian Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland. So we already knew that was coming. You already knew that was coming. The federal workers, and I read somewhere as that I read as well that Canada's highest workforce population, the highest amount of workers is in the government sector, man. So they're trying to get most of their people who can move and shake their economy, get most of their people who so-called benefit off of that workforce structure they have, because most of the people work in the government trying to get most of those people to take the jab, man. You know, which is going to get most of their population jabbed up of the workforce. You know, it says Trudeau said by the end of October, all travelers 12 and older on a plane or train within Canada must be fully jabbed. Trudeau said there'll be a short grace period where unjabbed travelers or staff can provide a negative DVOC 9-1 test. You know, so they ramping up with it, and we've been saying this, man. It's gonna get to the point where that test ain't enough. You know, the wickedness gradually increasing. You know, but unless you've been gradually removing yourself from this world, hey man, you don't have the understanding, the backing to recognize what the significance of it. And when you don't recognize the significance of something, your mind is more likely to get taken the other direction. That's why I wanted to start out with Matthew the 7th chapter, 13th verse, going to that straight gate. If you don't recognize the significance of the straight gate, you're going to be more likely to fall into the hands of Esau, man. Because in the process of removing yourself from this world, you got to be, building yourself up in the spirit. Because if your spirit is not strong, it's going to be moments like this that cause you to fall. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter, and the 56th verse. For while we lived and committed iniquity, we considered not that we should begin to suffer for it after death. Then answered he me and said, this is the condition of the battle, which man that is born upon the earth shall fight, that if he be overcome, he shall suffer. And thou hast said, but if he get the victory, he shall receive the thing that I say. So we're trying to overcome this condition of the battle, man. We're building ourselves up in the spirit to overcome the wrath of Esau in this particular time frame we are right now in history in this world, man. We're in the time period of judgment. I'll say we're in the middle ground between grace and judgment, but we're exiting grace and we're entering judgment. So we got to be able to overcome judgment, man. We got to be able to overcome the wrath, the sword of the Most High on the left-hand path that's going to come down on everyone to try the whole earth. We got to be those righteous men that prevail. But how do you do that? By building yourself up in the spirit, man. So you can't build it. You're not going to be. You can't operate in both of those spaces. You got to pick one or the other, man. Because time is winding down, where the Most High is given an opportunity to choose. He wants your choice to be made. It says by the end of November, if you're 12 or older and want to fly or take the train, you'll have to be fully jabbed. Like it says, 2nd Ezra 7 and 57. Then he answered he me and said, this is the condition of the battle, which man that is born upon the earth shall fight. So we got to fight this, man. This is the time period that we're in. There's no getting around. There's no escaping it. People talk about escaping the matrix, escaping the system. There is no escaping the matrix physically, man. You got to escape this place spiritually. You got to escape this world spiritually. You can't physically get away. If you're in Babylon right now, let's say Canada, because right now it's coming to Babylon, but right now it's in effect in Canada. You're in Canada right now. You're trying to move somewhere away from this system. You can't do it, man, unless you get the jab. You're trying to move far away. If you're trying to go far away, you're not gonna drive. I mean, you can. It's gonna take you a long ass time though. And I'm talking about over bodies of water and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Well, with that, you can't drive anyway. If you're trying to get over a body of water from Canada, you gotta take the jab, man. It is what it is. So there's no escaping this place physically, man. Because Canada and America are lockstep with each other, man. That's pretty much now. Babylon the Great is talking about the United States, but Canada is pretty much in lockstep with Babylon the Great. What's happening in Canada is going to happen to the United States. They have one mind. So if you're in Canada or you're in Babylon, and you're trying to go to Europe or you're trying to go to Africa to escape tribulation, you're gonna have to take the jab. So you're gonna try to escape the tribulation, but in the midst of escaping tribulation, take Esau's wicked device. In the midst of escaping tribulation, potentially taint your soul in the process. That's the result of not having faith. And that's the result of not understanding the condition that we're in and having the resilience and building yourself up in the spirit to fight what's coming, man. Spiritually. Going back to it, it says, this is the condition of the battle which man that is born upon the earth shall fight. That if he be overcome, he shall suffer. So if you're overcome by this beast system, you're gonna suffer, man. If you walk into the hands of the beast, if you take the MOB, you know, if you take the jab, you're gonna suffer, man. If you don't have the strength and the faith to resist temptation of that is gonna come in the wickedness and the lies, as we read in Psalm 52, the lies, you know, the propaganda, the mischief, the deception. You don't have the spiritual strength to sift through that and see through that and discern what's right and what's wrong. You're gonna be overcome. It is what it is. But if you have the mental fortitude via your spirit to resist it, man, we're gonna shine as bright as the stars, man. Lord, where we of that number? We're gonna get the victory, which is that crown of life. You know, them new bodies. Continuing on. Actually, I'm gonna stop there. So going back into the article, it says Trudeau said that there will be extremely narrow exceptions, like a valid medical condition. These travel measures, along with mandatory jabbing for federal employees, are some of the strongest in the world, the Prime Minister said. This is about keeping people safe on the job and their communities, he added, because when it comes to keeping you and your family safe, when it comes to avoiding lockdowns for everybody, this is no time for half measures. So that's just keynotes to letting you know that more provisions are coming. More quote unquote provisions for quote unquote safety are coming. It's not going to stop at just at travel, man. You know, remember I did that lesson. I did a lesson on my channel about 2 months ago about the quote unquote shielding approach from the CDC. That's talking about well, they didn't call them, you know, FEMA camps, but it's talking about like quarantine camps. That's what they call the quarantine facilities, quarantine camps. And in the article and on the CDC website, they try to, and this is via the CDC. They ain't me making nothing up. This is via the CDC. They make it seem like it's some form of retirement home or some form of, you know, illustrious, you know, safe haven where they're gonna nurse you back to health. No, man, it's gonna be a damn FEMA camp prison, man. That's what it's gonna be. You know, those are gonna be the quote unquote provisions for health and safety that Esau Edom is bringing to this world, man. You know, so more and more things are coming. Like it says, when it comes to keeping you and your family safe, when it comes to avoiding lockdowns for everybody, there is no time for half measures. So that's painting the picture, and that's planting the seed via them. That's them planting the seed that they can do anything they want to do to justify health and safety. You know, so it's not going to stop at just, you know, needing the jab to travel. It's going to continue to need the jab to go to your stores, needing the jab to be around anybody in any given space at all, needing the jab to leave your house, needing the jab to get in your car. You know, which that's when they're going to bring in these FEMA camps. That's when they're going to bring in these prisons, man. You know, Salakia. Real quick, I gotta do something real quick. All right, Salakia. Yeah, that's when they're gonna bring in these FEMA camps, man. You know. Let's go to Revelation, the second chapter. This is Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. The devil is Esau Edom, man. You know, for y'all any of y'all who are new to this understanding, the devil is not talking about some man with a red man. Well, he is red, but he's not talking about a red, like demonic looking man with red horns and that lives in a place called hell. No, it's not talking about that, man. The word devil goes into the Greek word, I believe it's diablo, and that goes into deceiver. You know, so the deceiver shall cast some of you into prison. The diablo shall cast some of you into prison. that ye may be tried. And that prison is talking about those FEMA camps. That prison is talking about those no time for half measures. You gotta read between the lines of what Esau Edom is telling you. It says when it comes to avoiding lockdowns for everyone. So everyone is talking about the people that are gonna get jabbed. They don't even consider you. They don't even consider you a citizen if you don't submit to their way. So this everyone is talking about the people, the jabbed up people. There's no time for half measures, meaning removing the people that's not part of everyone. That's what they're saying, man. That's what they're bringing into fruition. You know, so that's going to be them casting some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, complete amount of time. Be thou faithful unto death, I will give thee a crown of life. So didn't we just read in Second Esdras, the 7th chapter, where it says in 58 verse 58, where it says that if he be overcome, he shall suffer, as thou hast said. But if he get the victory, he shall receive the thing that I say. So that victory is talking about that crown of life, you know. But if you suffer, but if you get overcome and you become part of this everyone right here by taking the jab, by aligning yourself up, aligning your body, which is aligning your spirit and your soul with Esau, then you're gonna get all those harsh plagues the Most High Yahweh Bashim Al Shah is gonna bring on this world, man. You know, so it's either you get that long trouble or you get that short trouble. You know, let's go to Romans the 8th chapter. I believe it's Romans the 8th chapter. That's not the one I wanted. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. Let's go to 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter. That one of Romans is something else. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment. So a light affliction, meaning it's just for a season, man. That affliction is just gonna be for a season. Going back to 2 Esdras 58, that suffering is just gonna be, 2 Esdras 7 and 58, that suffering is just gonna be for a season. It's just gonna be for a short period of time. But you don't want to miss out on that season of suffering, which is really molding us, you know, in the right mindset, which is priming us to be kings, priests, gods on the earth. So you don't want to miss out on that suffering just so you can sup with this world and sup with Esau for a light moment as well, because it's going to be a light moment either way. But you're going to sup with them for a light moment for harsh plagues and everlasting getting cast into a lake of fire and then being brought back in the kingdom with shame, man. Let's go to Daniel the 12th chapter. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12, and verse 2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. That's talking about in these last days, man. Because this is Daniel 12 is end time prophecy. You know, so going into verse 1 where it talks about that time of trouble, that's the time we're in right now, where Michael the archangel is going to stand up for our people and fight Esau, Edom in that war in heaven, you know. And everyone that's found written in the book of life is going to be saved from these coming perils and destruction. But if you're not found in the book of life, you know, you're gonna die in that lake of fire, and then you're gonna be brought back in the kingdom in everlasting shame and contempt. You know, so it's either you suffer now or you suffer later. Now we don't know how the everlasting shame and contempt is gonna look. But you're not going to be part of the holy city. You're not going to be of the elect. You're not going to be able to walk with Yahweh Shah. You're not going to be of the first fruits. You're not going to get praise and fame in every land in which you were put to shame, as it says in Zephaniah the 3rd chapter. You know, you're not going to get any of those perks that the elect are going to get. You're going to be an Israelite still, but you don't want to be a halfway. You don't want to be an Israelite on a lower level. Yahweh Shah spoke about that in Matthew the 5th chapter. Let's go to Matthew the 5th chapter. This is Matthew chapter 5. And verse 19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. You don't want to be the least in the kingdom of heaven, man. So you either suffer now, you know, via going into whatever Esau Edom has planned, you know, which comes from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, but he will give you a way through it, as the scriptures say. He will try us with fire, but he'll give us a way through it. So you either be part of that, or what does it say? You either be part of those ones that they're preparing the no time for half measures for, being the aka the elect, the ones that they cast in the prison, the ones that are ashamed of men, you know, the ones that don't capitulate to the system. You're either part of that, or you part of that. You part of that everybody, man. You part of that everyone, you know, and that everyone is going to be those that are least in the kingdom, the ones that they're providing the quote unquote provisions for. Because, like I said, if you don't submit to their way, they don't even count you as a citizen of this place, man. They don't even count you as a person, you know, because you're not part of the new society, man. The new society is everybody's gonna walk in lockstep with them. The new world order is for the people that are gonna take the chip, man. You know. So that's going to be the least in the kingdom. But it says, but whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. You know? So you want to be those ones that are great. And we want to, all of us, we want to be that, Lord will, we want to be that great in the kingdom of heaven, which means what? We got to be part of that. There's no time for half measures. We got to be part of those people that are willing to go through that flame of adversity, willing to go in the FEMA camps, willing to not travel, you know, willing to not go on a train. Things of that nature, man. Quiet is kept. That's gonna get a lot of people, man. When you tell them because when you tell people that they can't travel no more, that is a big, you know, realization. You know, that's a big, you know, open your eye moment to people like, damn, this is real right here. If I don't get the jab, I can't go. No, I'm stuck, man. Yes, that's what it's gonna be. If you don't get the jab, you're gonna be stuck. Now, I'm not saying you can't get in your car and go places, but it's gonna get to the point where there's gonna be checkpoints on the road, man. But we'll get into that when we go into the domestic. It says all federal public servants in the core public administration must be fully jabbed by October 29th, according to Freeland. So that's going to the federal workers in Canada. It says there's a point in the article I wanted to get right here as well. This point right here. It says the vast majority of Canadians have stepped up and done the right thing, she said. The government is Canada's largest employer. So it says the vast majority of Canadians have stepped up, you know, meaning what? Have likened them, have submitted their body and their spirits to Esau. Stepping up in their eyes is viewing them as your God. That's stepping up to them, you know, saying, okay, I give up, you win. What do you want me to do? That's stepping up to them, man. Having a mind of your own, they count you as dung. Having a mind of your own, you know, especially when you walk with Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, because you have like mind with the greatest, with the only almighty power. You have a like mind with the King of the new world in Yahushua. You know, that right there, they don't want none of that, man. You know. So stepping up to them is basically viewing them as your God, which is going to cost you your soul at the end of the day. So yeah, in Canada, man, you know, hey man, no traveling unless you get the jab. They coming down with it, man. It's time to stop playing around. I want to get into this too. Because it says a Senate bill will require, this is, you know, going into domestic, what's going on in the United States, which goes to show you that what's going on in Canada right now is coming to the U.S. in a matter of time. You know, they just got to do things more strategically with the United States, because obviously it's a more population of people. It's a higher population of people in Canada. I believe they said that California, the whole state of California, is more people than there is in Canada. You know, so it's a higher population of people, so they got to move more meticulously. Also, there's a lot more pride associated with conservative values in this country as opposed to Canada. You don't hear people talking about Canadian pride. You know, I'm not saying it doesn't go on, but I'm just saying that's not something that's very publicized to my knowledge. You know, but you hear a lot of people, America pride, especially down here in the South, man. You know, people got red conservative flags. I mean, not conservative flags, Confederate flags. You know, U.S. flags. You know, attached to their pickup truck or attached to their house or whatnot. You know, the 4th of July is a big time holiday. Labor Day, all that kind of shit, man. Memorial Day, all that shit, man. Big holidays. There's a lot of patriotism associated with the United States. So you got to gradually move this a little bit more slowly, as opposed to Canada. Boom, you can't travel. If you don't got a job, you can't travel, because it's not going to be as much uproars. There's going to be uproars. Don't get it twisted, but not as much. So they're trying to water down the mindset, the individual mindset of the people in Babylon, to get them to submit to it. They don't have to do that as much in Canada. But don't get it twisted. Canada and Babylon are lockstep. They are like mind. Trudeau and Biden are still underneath. They're underneath the same handlers. They're underneath the same Jesuit, Zionist banking families, man. Trudeau in Canada and Biden in the United States. They're in lockstep, and they're both super, super liberal, which means they're both perfect puppets to push the New World Order agenda, and to push the tenets of the New World Order into effect. So let's get into this right here. It says Senate bill will require domestic flyers to provide C-19 jab proof. This is a bill introduced by Dianne Feinstein of California, Senator Dianne Feinstein or Feinstein, whatever the fuck her name is, of California. So it says a Senate bill will introduce domestic flyers to provide proof of Slovakia. This bullshit, man. A Senate bill will require domestic flyers to provide proof of jab against the CV. It says California Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein on Wednesday introduced a U.S. Air Travel Public Safety Act, which would require all passengers on domestic airline flights to either be fully jabbed, have recently tested negative for C-19, or have fully recovered from the disease. It says the bill will require the U.S. of Health and Human Services, Xavier Becerra, and the Federal Aviation Administration to develop national jab standards and procedures related to C-19 and domestic air travel. It says, in addition, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices would be required to make recommendations for C-19 jab use in healthcare settings and among public healthcare personnel in different settings. So just going to the more other things in addition to that particular bill. But the main point of this bill is that it's going to limit domestic travel lest you had the vaccine. The jab, man. Just said it. Lord will just don't get taken down. But let's go to the scriptures though. Let's go to the book of this is the book of 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, and this is going to be the 17th verse. 2nd Ezra 15 and 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So we're gonna be we're gonna be designed to go into these cities, man. You want to travel here and there, and you're not gonna be able to, man, unless you submit to this system. Unless you're in lockstep with this place, man. Because you go into the earlier scripture, it's going to the plagues, man. It's going into the sedition amongst men. It's going to the destruction drawing nigh, and that's in lockstep with the wrath of Esau Edom being fully executed into the world via restriction, of you and your quote unquote personal liberties and freedoms, quote unquote, lest you view him as your God and submit to his way, So that's what it means when it says a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. You ain't gonna be able to travel, man. Ain't gonna be able to fly. Ain't gonna be able to go on no train. Ain't gonna be able to drive on the freeways and the highways. They gonna have checkpoints, man. They gonna have jab checkpoints and these highways. You just how they got the tolls, man. It's gonna be a jab toll, man. In order to enter my city, show your proof of jabbing, man. And in order to leave state lines, you got to show your proof of jabbing. Trying to box you in to get you to submit to the system. and also boxing people in for when they increase these weather plagues on the people, box you in. So it's like if you don't want to submit to the jab and the jab don't get you, then boom, heart gonna get you, man. Which heart, that's still controlled by Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. But that's one of the tools they use, that Esau uses to get people, to purge out people from wanting to leave, man. Trying to be in these country areas where you're less reliant on the system. You're less reliant on the government for protection and provision. You're out there farming. Harvey gonna destroy all that shit, man. You farming, you planting your seeds, this and the third. That's why none of that shit is gonna help you, man. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm just saying it's not a foolproof solution. Because at any given time, man, you out there in Texas or in Arkansas or in Georgia or in Louisiana and Mississippi and some country town, some farm area, boom, a hurricane hits your spot. Now what? Now what, man? That's all going into a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, man. You can't travel for entertainment or leisure in terms of flying on a plane to go to this, going to one city to the next, driving on the highway to go from one city to the next. You're not gonna be able to travel for leisure, entertainment, or vacation or whatever it may be unless you had the jab, because there's certain ways to get around it right now. If you just don't want to put on a mask, period. If you need to go somewhere, you can just drive, man. You do have to wear masks to go on a plane. You don't want to wear no mask, you can just drive, man. It's gonna get to the point where now that's gonna be you don't want to get no test, don't want to do no quarantine, just drive, man. But then it's gonna get to the point where they put those provisions, they put those restrictions on these highways too, via them checkpoints. So now they're boxing people in or submit. Basically getting people to submit by just consistent, just more and more and more ruthless restriction. More and more and more unrighteous decrees. At a point in time, a lot of people are gonna say, I'm tired of this shit, man. I don't want to deal with this shit no more. Let me just go get it. That's why I was saying earlier, when building yourself up in the spirit, that teaches you what you're building yourself up for. If you don't know what you're building yourself up for, if you're just doing it just to do it, you have more of a susceptibility to fall off, because you don't have no power, no real strength into why you're doing something. That's the importance of delving to the scriptures, reading, studying, praying, fasting, things of that nature, man. Because then when the times come, when the provisions and when the restrictions just become overbearing, you're like, you know what? I don't care how hard it gets, man. I don't care how much they restrict me. I'm gonna still go all out for Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Even if that means I'm gonna have to die for this, man. Even if that means I'm gonna have to get my head chopped off. Let's get the classic, man. Let's go to Revelation, the 20th chapter. Because this is going to be in them FEMA camps, man. Like we just went into in the previous article in terms of Canada about the when they were going into I'm gonna just get the point, the exact words. Where it went to the there's no time for half measures. Going to basically planting the seed to planting the seed to enact any kind of measure they deem to be a benefit to health and safety. Enact any kind of measure, no matter how harsh it may be. Enact any measure they deem fitting to increase safety, quote unquote, safety in the world. That's gonna come in the form of them in them FEMA camps, which they got now called the quote unquote shielding approach on the CDC website. Shielding unjabbed and sick people away from quote unquote, fully healthy people, which is going to be certified by the jab. Basically, like, if you don't have the jab, you're not even going to be considered a healthy individual, man. That's how sick the mindset of these people are, man. If you don't put poison in if you're not going to submit yourself to putting poison into your body, you're not even going to be considered a healthy individual, man. It's all going to be stipulated by, did you get that jab or not? So where it says, going to the prophecy, this is the book of Revelation, the 20th chapter and the 4th verse. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them, And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahweh Shah and for the word of the Most High, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither have received his mark. So worship the. I want to get into. Let's get into that. Let's break this down. So it says, worship the beast. Who is the beast? It says, worship the beast. Who is the beast? The beast is talking about, on a let's break down the layers of it, because it's multi-layered. The beast, from a spiritual perspective, going into the spiritual demon Satan and the false pagan gods. You know what I'm saying? The Bacchus, the goat god, Pan, the tea god, the Baphomet. You know what I'm saying? Basically worshiping the gods of the ancient Kemetic systems. And all the Dionysus, all the gods, Semiramis, all the gods, the different names and incarnations of those gods. That's on a spiritual level, worshiping those pagan entities, those pagan gods, the pagan system, the Tower of Babel gods. Basically completing the worshiping the gods of the completion of the great work starting with Nimrod. That's what it is on its highest level spiritually, and then underneath that, going to from a physical perspective, and it's from a societal perspective, this revived Roman Empire, which is the beast system, this revived Roman Empire, and the gods that govern over that. You know what I'm saying? And submitting yourself to the ways of this structure and this system, celebrating the pagan holidays like the Saturnalia, which came from the Roman Empire, which is aka Christmas for y'all who didn't know. Going into that right there, the revived Roman Empire, and then also in a physical sense, the so-called white man. That's just a quick rundown of the beast. You know what I'm saying? Not going too deep into that. A quick rundown of the beast. So that's worshiping the beast, worshiping this society from a spiritual, a societal, and a physical perspective. Submitting to the white man's structure, who was Esau, submitting to Esau and his structure, submitting to the system at whole being the modern day Roman Empire and the ways of the modern day Roman Empire. And then also on the highest level spiritually, submitting to the gods, the pagan gods that govern, the Most High has on the left-hand path, governing over this place. Like I said, the Pan, the Bacchus, Semiramis, the goat god, the Baphomet, all the gods of the ancient Kemetic systems. So that's the beast. So you're gonna be beheaded for not wanting to worship that beast, man. For acknowledging Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah as the author and the enforcer of your ways and your steps. You're gonna be persecuted for that, man. Neither his image, which is gonna be that RFID, CHIP, man. That's the mark. That's the mark. Neither receive his mark. That's the RFID chip, man. It's the mark, which is going to be in your hand and your forehead. So if you don't want to get that, you're not worshiping the beast or his image, and you don't certify that by getting the mark, you're seen as a terrorist. You're seen as a threat or harm to this societal structure. So you're liable to get if you don't want to submit to that, you are liable to get your head chopped off. We got to understand what we're up against, man. We got to understand the times we headed into. Let's really get into it, man. If you want to worship Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, you want to serve the Lord, you want to separate yourself from this system, you're submitting yourself to potentially getting your head chopped off, man. That's what we're doing. If you don't recognize that, when that time comes, man, you might fall, man. Because you didn't know and you didn't recognize that I could potentially get my head chopped off for this. So now when it's the time when you're on the chopping block and you about to get your head in that guillotine, at the last second, you may say, you know what? Give me the chip. At the very last second. Because you didn't understand what you were building up for, man. You didn't understand what the power in this and the things you have to give up and the sacrifices you have to make. So continuing on, have received his mark on his forehead or in their hands. They lived and reigned with Mashiach 1,000 years. So, you know, them FEMA camps, man, part of that is these guillotines. So that's what we up against. That's the times that we headed into. So, like I said, you gotta recognize what it is spiritually that you're building yourself. Recognize what you're building yourself up for. Invest in the Most High and His Son. Invest in the Scriptures. That gives us the tools to fight this system. So that when more restrictions come up, be like, nah, man, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm fighting for, and I know what I'm gonna have to go through. I know that I could potentially get killed for this, but I believe so much in this, man. Because when it's going to come time where the Most High is really going to test you, if see if you willing to die for this, and you haven't built yourself up in the spirit, you're gonna find an excuse in your mind. Let's go to the book of Sirach. I believe the 26th chapter, I believe. This is 32nd Sirach, the 32nd chapter. This is Sirach, chapter 32 and verse 17. A sinful man will not be reproved, but findeth an excuse according to his own will. So a sinful man will not be reproved, but find an excuse according to his will. In that day, man, you're gonna find an excuse. You're gonna justify an excuse to your will. Be like, you know what? Damn, I'm not gonna be able to do this, man. Let me just take it. I'm not gonna be able to do this, man. Let me just take it. Or I'm missing on this. Let me just take it. Because you know what's coming on the other end too, but you haven't prepared yourself along the way to fight that spiritually. That's the importance of investing, in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. But continuing on, in the article it says, what's the point? Continuing on, it says, the legislation Feinstein's office said builds upon a current CDC order issued in January, requiring proof of negative C-19 tests or documentation of having recovered from if all air passengers arriving in the U.S. and a foreign country. And they ramping that up to requiring the jab. Let's go into this right here. This is on the official Congress, website, man. Where you see all the bills that are being passed. It says HR 4980 to direct the Secretary of Homeland Security to ensure that all individuals traveling on a flight that departs from or arrives to an airport inside the United States or a territory of the United States is fully jabbed against C-19 and for other purposes. So they're putting bills into effect. This is on the latest action show was 8/6/2021, and it was introduced. Now, of course, we know what's going to pass. It's going to pass the House and the Senate, and it's going to become a law. It's going to become a law, man. It's just a matter of time. But right now, they're talking about requiring the jab to enter into the United States. That one has already been introduced, and they just like a couple months prior, and they just are now introducing one to have for domestic travel. So, and both of those are going to pass. It's just a matter of time. We just don't know when exactly, So, hey, we see right here that it's time to give it all up, man. Because they're requiring the jab to enter and exit the United States. It's only a matter of time before this comes, man. Not just to enter and exit the United States, and also to travel to fly domestically, to go from city to city, via airplane, man. But it's also going to be, in transit on the road as well. Freeway travel, checkpoints at these places here and there. It's all coming, man. It's all coming. I want to read this down here. It says the bill directs the Transportation Security, the TSA, to ensure that any individual traveling on a flight that departs from or arrives to an airport inside the United States or U.S. territory is fully jabbed against C-19. The TSA must also ensure that there's an exception to the requirement for an individual who is ineligible or medically unable to be fully jabbed against C-19. So basically, unless you can provide some form of exception, which not going to be most, you can't fly, in and out of the country. But it's also this one is in and out the country right here. but they just introduced another bill as well, as we see that that is limiting your domestic travel if you don't get the jab as well. So going back into Second Ezra, the 15th chapter, it says 15 to 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So we see the prophecies are just popping off the sheet right now, man. It's just more and more. It's just prophecy after prophecy after prophecy, you know. So time to gird up and get ready, man, because this is gonna be we enter the time where we gonna all have to be tested, and telling you as well with these provisions that it's supposed to make the country better. It's supposed to improve the well-being and the safety of here we go of Babylon. When you go into this article right here, it says the U.S. Air Travel Safety Act, introduced by California Senator Dianne Feinstein, will require all U.S. passengers to be fully jabbed, fully recovered, or test negative for the CV before boarding a domestic flight. We know that air travel during the 2020 holiday season contributed to last winter's devastating C-19 surge. Feinstein said in a Wednesday news release, we simply cannot allow it to happen again. So this may be coming soon, man. They may escalate this thing. I mean, they already probably got a set date when they want all this to go down. All this is predetermined, you know. But this could be coming into effect. This could be a reality very, very soon. Well, you're not gonna be able to travel unless you get a test or you get a jab, man. You know. Salakia. So now I'm not a proponent of these tests, you know, but if brothers want to get tests, that's on you. You do you. As long as you don't get that jab, don't get that jab. If you got to get a test for your job, I'm not saying that you was going off or you was wicked or, you know, this, that, and the third. I'm not saying that at all. It's not something that I would do, but I'm not saying that you're going off by having to get the C-19 test for your job, or, you know, if you got one earlier on and you're not doing it no more. I'm not saying that you're going off. You know, I'm just not going to do it. But that's gonna be what you gotta have, man. Either that test, you know, which you shouldn't be taking, or that jab in order to fly domestically. And it says we simply cannot allow that to happen again. Meaning what? They're trying to get this thing going before the surge of the traveling season starts. Which was the traveling season, man. That's what, November to end of November, or around mid-November to mid-March. You know, that's like the traveling season, you know. So this is going to be coming really, really soon in 2021, beginning of 2022. So, hey, man, you know, and they're talking about this is supposed to heal the country and, you know, bring the country back to health. But the scriptures say Babylon's not going to be healed, man. Let's go to Jeremiah, the 51st chapter and the 7th verse. It says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hands that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. So it's basically going into, man, you know, howl for her, take balm for her pain. You know, move and shake your life. You know, be in a mental state to assist this country, to assist this place. No, man, because this place is not going to be healed. You know, there's no point in taking balm for her pain. There's no point in wishing this place to be healed, because it ain't going to be healed, man. It ain't coming back. You know, there's no point in quote unquote doing your part, as they try to say. Do your part so you don't harm others. There's no point. This place is already harmed, man. This place is done. The Most High's got a death date for this place, man. Most High's got a date where he has set to bring all kind of plagues and anguish to this place, man. There's nothing we can do about it. So you might as well just be in lockstep with the Most High's plan. You might as well. You might as well cast off this world for the ways of the Most High. You might as well align your spirit with the scriptures, because it's already gonna happen. No point in taking balm. No point in putting healing ointment on Babylon, man. You know. No point in screaming out and crying, howl for her pain. No point in screaming out and crying to save Babylon. And how to do that physically? You know, by doing the things that Babylon's kings and priests, it's like kings and princes, I'd rather say, doing things that Babylon's kings and princes aka these faces, these politicians that promote the message of the higher ups, the elite banking families, doing things they tell you to do, man. Doing things that to quote unquote assist this country's well-being, quote unquote, bring it back to full strength. It ain't gonna be brought back to full strength, man. The scriptures say we would have healed Babylon, verse 9. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go, everyone, to our own country, for a judgment reaches up in the heavens and lifted up into the skies, man. Forsake her and go into your own place, man. You know, so in the spirit in today's world, and the spirit that's just going into, you know, in the ways of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, you know, your own country, meaning what? You know, our culture, our script, which is what the scriptures, man, our God, our way, which is Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, you know. That's what it is, man. So this place is done. And we see it right now through the various provisions. They're ready to move this. They're ready to stop. They tired of hiding, man. They tired of doing everything behind closed doors. They're ready to bring it all out in the forefront, man. So it's time to forget about, you know, your dreams and your hopes and your goals you had here, man. It's time to forget about all that shit. It's done. And it's time to forget about loved ones as well. They're not trying to get with it, man. Because if you got loved ones in other countries, hey man, you gotta realize, man, you ain't never gonna see him again. It is what it is. Suck it up, man. You ain't never gonna see him again, unless you're willing to take that jab. Unless you're gonna take a test, you ain't never gonna see him again. You got family in South America. You got family in Africa. You got family in the islands. You got family in Canada. You damn sure ain't gonna do it if you got family in Canada. You know. You can't get into Canada without a jab, you know. Once I think it's the end of November. Once the end of November hits, man, that's when the jab. That's when that's gonna go into effect. So it's time to give all. Let's go to Matthew the 10th chapter because it's time to give all that up, man. This is Matthew chapter 10 and verse 37. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. He that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it. He that loseth his life for my name's sake shall find it. So, man, if you're not willing to lose your life and lose out on the things that bring you joy in this life, your family, having good times with your friends, good times with your family, seeing your loved ones. If they outside the country, man, hey, you ain't gonna be able to see them again. If you live in another state from your family, once you need a job for domestic travel, which is coming very soon, they wouldn't announce it? They wouldn't announce it if they didn't have a plan for it. It says right here, domestic flyers may need to show proof of jab if Senate bill passes. It's going past, man. Because why would they stipulate right here where it says, we know that air travel during the 2020 holiday season contributed to winter's devastating C-19 surge. They wouldn't stipulate this right here if they didn't want that to be mandatory, man. If they didn't already have a plan to mandate this, they wouldn't even put that right. They wouldn't even put that right there in the fine print in this article. They wouldn't even put that energy out there, man. Wouldn't even do that. It says we simply cannot allow it to happen again. They wouldn't even put that energy out there, man, if they didn't already have a plan to mandate the jab for air travel. They didn't already have a set date where they were going to announce it. You know, so if you live in a different place from your family or your friends or any loved ones you may have, hey man, you got to say goodbye. It is what it is, man. You're gonna have to say goodbye forever. Because it's going to get to the point where you're not even going to be able to drive because of these checkpoints that's going to be on the roads. That's why the scriptures say, he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. If Yahweh Bashim Yahushua not number one thing in your, not number one mover and shaker in your life, you're not worthy, man. Because you got to give up every single thing that's against Yahweh Bashim Yahushua in order to walk that straight and narrow path, man. That's why that's the first scripture I brought out. You got to give up everything. You can't go. We know, the way. The way has been made manifest. Isaiah 30 and 21. We know the way. We know the way that we should walk in. If it's not lining up with that way, it's not something the Most High wants you to do. which means you got to cast it off to the side. You got to fervently serve the Lord. It is what it is. We're entering that time period. So it's time to get in that proper mind frame to pretty much exit this world and give it all up. Let's go to the book of 1 John. Let's bring out the classic. This is the book of 1 John, chapter 2, and verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but of the world. And I want to get into this because it says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh. Now, if you got people around you that lust after the flesh, then they're in the world, man. The lust of the eyes. You got people around you that lust after the eyes, they're in the world. And all of those things that are, all those, the worldly traits, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, those are things that Esau, Edom, pushes and promotes to our people. So if they are viewing that and idolizing that as a way of living, then they're not of the Father, man. They don't really care about the Father's way. So you can't be in lockstep with them, man. You got to be able to, at any given time, forsake, being around them, which the Most High is going to test a lot of us via this travel bill, man. Because you're gonna have to tell them, hey, I'm never gonna see you again. And you have to be okay with that. And you're gonna have to be okay with their backlash, them talking shit about you, them trying to get other family members to hit you up and say this, that, and the third about you. You too deep into this, you a big time conspiracy theorist and all that, man. You have to deal with that. Just take on that yoke, man, and just run with it, man. Then Yahweh Shah says, it's not you that they hate it, but it's me that they hate. So they really hate you. They hate Yahweh Shah. So they can't be of the Father, man. Verse 17, and the world passeth away. So the world passeth away, man. We just read in Jeremiah 51 how Babylon's not going to be healed, man. Because Babylon's going to pass away. But he that doeth the will of the Father abideth forever, meaning what? We're going to get translated. Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. This is the book of 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. I'm going to start at 51. But I show you a mystery. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. I mean, we're not all going to die. You know what I'm saying? But we all will be changed. You know what I'm saying? Some of us are literally going to translate from this world to the next. Some of us are never going to see death. Didn't Yahweh Shah say there are some standing here that will never see death? Some of us are going to never see death, man. We're going to get translated from this place in the chariot and they come down, man. Verse 52, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound. And that's of course, Lord willing, of course. Verse 52 again, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall I put on incorruption, and this immortal. So like someone calling me. Let me take this. Salaki, I had to take that. But going back into it, on verse 55, O death, where's thy sting? O grave, where's thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to Yahweh, which gives us the victory through our Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable, and always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. So those who are immovable, those who are steadfast, those who are abiding in the world, in the word, those that are forsaking the world, you know, are going to be the ones that, are going to be the ones that that get that opportunity to get changed, to get translated, to get risen up on the chariots, to get that incorruptible body, you know what I'm saying, to not have to have that sting of death on us, Lord will, which is breaking of the law, man. We're gonna be those ones. So going back into First John, going back into First John 2, where it says, "And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of the Father abideth forever." That's going into those who have gotten the victory, as it says. But thanks be to the Most High, which gives us the victory. Those going to be the ones that's going into the ones that get the victory, man. That's going to be going to verse 52 of First Corinthians 15, where it said, "In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, the last trump." You know what I'm saying? We shall be changed. Verse 51, it says, "We shall be changed." Those are going to be the ones that as it said, that will abide forever. So as we get more and more deeper into these last days, as these prophecies start popping off more and more and more, we gotta weigh the balance, man. Just being in lockstep with people, quote unquote, loved ones, and lockstep with their Babylonian ways, worth eternal life? Is that worth living forever? Is that worth being risen up in the chariots and meeting Yahweh Shah in the air? Is that worth that crowning ceremony, which is going to be literal? Because Ezra saw a literal vision with that, man, where we get crowned by that man taller than the rest, like being Yahweh Shah. Is that worth that? These are the things we got to think about and weigh in our spirit and our mind when these restrictions start becoming more and more open, when these restrictions start becoming more and more strenuous, where we have to make tough decisions. Let's go to Habakkuk, the first chapter, and we'll go ahead and end it off. It's the book of Habakkuk, chapter 1, and verse 5. "Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously, for I will work a work in your days, which ye will not believe, though it be told you. For lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs." And the modern day Chaldeans that are doing that are these Edomites, man. You know what I'm saying? All these high ranking members of Esau, Edom. You know what I'm saying? They're taking a places not theirs and implementing their unrighteous decrees, man. And basically, if you don't want to submit to that, then fuck you. That's what they're saying. See right here, it says, oh shoot. Oh, we're still good. Yeah. Oh well. I just want to get this point. It says jab mandates for U.S. flight passengers. Fauci supports the idea. It says Fauci supports the idea, and I didn't get into that in the article, but it also goes to the article about how basically the right hand man for Biden supports this idea. Man, they're telling you right now that everybody's in lockstep with it, man. They're telling you that it's coming. So it's time to give it up, man. It's time to give it up. But going back into it, the modern day Chaldeans are these Edomites, man. It says they are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. Their horses are also swifter than leopards, and are more fierce than the evening wolves. So the horses, their power, their strength, that's what the horse represents. You know, that's what a chariot in the physical realm represents. Their power and their strength is swifter than the leopards, man. Meaning it's a leopard is extremely fast, man. Extremely fast animal. You know, it's swifter, man. At any given time they can bring an unrighteous decree and make it a law, man. And basically bring it into effect and have everyone submit to it. And if you don't want to submit to it, you can't be part of my society no more. At any given time, they can bring that work into effect. Says the horses are swifter than the leopards, and they are more fierce than the evening wolves. And the horsemen shall spread themselves, and the horsemen shall come from far, and shall fly as the eagle that hastens to eat. Now, you know, in this in this particular sense, you know, within this particular exact time frame, that's going into the Chaldeans who ruled Babylon from 625 to about 500 BC, about 520 BC. You know, and going into how before the Neo Babylonian Empire, you know what I'm saying, and worshiping the gods of the Babylonians. That's what that's going into particularly. But in this particular time period, you know, in terms of contextually, but in this time period as well, you know, what they're doing, man, they're spreading. The horsemen are spreading, man. The horsemen being what? The armies, the militaries, they're all in lockstep with with the power structure as a whole, with the Chaldean power structure as a whole, with the modern day Chaldeans being the Edomites, you know, and they have a mighty amount of them as well. That's why it says are swifter than leopards, man. They have a wide array, they have a lot of them, man. And they're very the wickedness can and the wine, aka the philosophy, will spread so quickly, man. You know, hastening to eat, hastening to draw you into perdition, to suck you into their system, to have you fall, to have you sup, to have you break bread with them. Meaning what? To have you spiritually hearken into that pathway, have that to have that structure and that system in place, have you digest that, you know, and it become part of you. When you eat something, you digest it, you know, either you shit it out or it becomes part of you. That's why they say you are what you eat. You are what you hearken unto spiritually. And that's why they got their systems in place. That's why they got their horses and what their military, their might, their power structure, you know, serving that wickedness everywhere, swifter than the leopards, you know. So everything that you see going on right now, they can do it at any given moment they feel like it. And nobody has to stipulate that to them. Don't nobody can and can't no one. I mean, can't no one stop them. Can't no one stop them from being that swift leopard to spray wickedness in this world, man. You know, can no one stop them because it's all prophecy and the Most High set them up to be that way. So, as the scriptures say, in the book of Proverbs, let's go to Proverbs the 16th chapter. Proverbs 16. Let me see. Proverbs 16 and 4. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 4. The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So the wicked are even made for the day of evil, man. Yeah, so the Most High has created everything for himself. So he's operating on the left-hand side with these modern day Chaldeans to spread that wickedness faster than spread that wickedness via their horses, via their power structure, via the military, the militia, everything, man. Their puppets, the propaganda, the media influences, the spread that as swift, that being the horses, as swifter than the leopard, man. And no one, and you can't really evade it unless you are spiritually in the right place. You can't evade it, meaning what? You're gonna be suckered into it if you're not counteracting that might that they're coming with on the left hand path, with might on the right hand path, being the righteousness and the wisdom that emanates from the spirit of the scriptures, man. You know, so that's something we all got to be focused on doing in these last days. But hey, man, it's all coming to pass. You know, they're bringing in travel restrictions. You know, unless you get the jab, man. So with that, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and round it out there. It's all coming to pass, man. So we gotta pay attention. We gotta watch and we gotta pray. You know, that we don't fall into these temptations via these restrictions that are coming more and more and more into society. So with that, I want to give all the praises, the glory, and the honor unto Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Bahashim Kakwadash. Lord will, this was edifying for the hopeful elect and the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel only. Abab Abal, Kwam Yasharala, Shalawam, and keep the faith. And to water for all the brothers that came through.